Welcome to Talk of the Midlands. We're going to talk about Villa and West Brom. So on to the game yesterday, lads. Harv, would you say we were unlucky to lose in the end?
Watching the game, actually, I thought it was an improvement defensively. And if you carry on like that next few games, could pick up some points. But I still think your problem this season is probably going to be getting it in the net, really, because you just don't seem to have much of a threat going forward. So I think that's.
I did feel like in the game, Callum Robinson especially caused a threat up top of his pace. But Colin Grant, when we bought him, I thought, yes, definitely Prem-worthy. But now I'm not too sure. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah,
he's gone a bit quiet, especially since that Brighton game. He got a goal, and since then he hasn't really built on it. That's what I think.
For me, you were just solid defensively, but in the end, against a team like Tottenham, you can only sit back so much before they're sort of gonna take a chance. And in the end, they did that. So it was unfortunate because you grinded out a good game, but
yeah,
that's sort of.
Do you think Slav proves he's still the man with the job? Like, he doesn't need anyone to come in. I personally think so, because that proved that players do know what they're doing. If we're playing like that against a top flight Spurs,
if you play like that every week, it's a good stepping stone, because I feel like the commitment you put in against Tottenham yesterday, if you play like that against some of the lesser sides, you may have a good chance of winning.
But the question is, will we play the same against teams like Brighton or Burnley?
Yeah,
they give a lot more effort than teams like maybe Tottenham do.
That's it. And then going forward, obviously, you're going to want to change the game plan as well, because then you'll be looking to try and get a few goals, which means you might end up being a bit looser at the back. But obviously, that's just.
If you were Slav, would you bring Pereira back in, or even Ivanovic?
For me, it depends on the opponent, because Pereira's your best player, but I think against, I wouldn't use them. I'd probably use them in to give them half the game or something. But then you've got to get them back in for me. So they're your two best players, really.
So in the game, we didn't even start Dean Garner. And yes, we didn't have as much flair. But personally, I think we were better. But on the ball, we kept it a lot more, because playing five at the back, playing it around, and we did cause a threat.
Yeah. And I think you spoke about in the last one that you said sort of the players that are normally your best players, if they're not performing, they're still getting in. So they're not really they're thinking, oh, I'm playing bad, but I'm still getting in the team. Whereas giving them sort of a kick up the backside and putting them on the bench will give them sort of the reasons to want to improve.
Do you think one of the problems as well is the lack of players on the bench to bring on mobility? Because we had Phillips, that's a right mid, and Dean Garner, who's a left mid, playing up front in the second half, like 60 minutes onwards. Is that good enough, Josh?
No, you need. What's happened to Aston?
I don't think he's up to it at the moment. I don't think he's match fit, and he's probably not showed his worth in training.
That's why you brought in Grant as a striker, and Robinson was playing there before, weren't he? And Robinson's gone out wide, and you still haven't got a backup striker. So it's like a lot of pressure on Colin Grant, especially when Pereira's not there.
Yeah, Powell's out for 6 weeks, and I think Charlie can come in, but is he good enough? Personally,
that's the question. No, that's it, and that's where in January you might look to add another player in there, but it's just whether you've got the budget to get someone in worth it, really.
So Harv, on to Villa.
Yeah, really positive off the back of a couple of bad results. We sort of needed it going into the international break, so we didn't want to go for 3 losses on the run. But yeah, obviously, some of it comes down to Arsenal performing a little under sort of their potential, but I think we really on it really from the get go. Only took us 40 seconds obviously to get the first, which didn't stand, but after that we just looked like getting more. So yeah, really happy.
Do you think they should have counted the first goal?
See, obviously as a Villa fan you'd say yes, but then if you go by the rules of the game, you have to say no, because he was blocking Leno's view, and obviously Leno's never going to get to it even if he can see it. But then, like Josh said, I think earlier today, it's where do you draw the line, because then teams will argue that shots were going to go in, shots weren't going to go in, and it's all opinion based then. So you can't sort of have a written rule, which is what you have to have. So
Josh, why were
disallowed? It is a sucker punch.
Yeah, Josh, why were Arsenal, would you say, below par in that game?
First of all, we haven't maintained that work rate that we had in recent weeks. We were well off the pace yesterday. Again, no creativity going forward. We had Aubameyang, our main threat going forward, putting in the crosses for the likes of Willian and Lacazette, who were very poor yesterday.
Do you think Mings and Konsa, Target and Cash kind of stop the attacks? Or do you think you won at it with Lacazette up top?
I feel like it was a bit of both. I feel like Lacazette was poor, but at the same time, you've got to credit the defenders. And we were really poor yesterday, especially going forward.
Did you think Partey could have been better?
I feel like to be honest, first half, he played decent. He didn't.
Yeah. For me, when Partey came off, when Partey got subbed off, that changed the game really. I think he was keeping them together because we were all over them first half. He sort of kept it respectable. As soon as he went off,
we're 1-0 down, and I think Arteta's on the sideline. And I think Ceballos has got a chance to run with the ball, run forward, and Arteta's time to come back. He's meant to. He's probably our most creative player we've got, and he's trying to sit deep.
Was it the right change from Arteta to bring on Ceballos?
I'd say so if Partey was injured.
Yeah. I think it was
but if it was, I think it is true. Partey's injured, then that's the problem though. Who else in the squad apart from Ceballos can we bring on? We got Willock, who's not made the squad, and then Özil obviously.
What about is Xhaka out at the minute?
No, he was on the bench yesterday.
Was he? So I guess he's another option, but then that's whether he trusts him or not. He clearly rates Ceballos a little bit more.
Yeah.
From here, though, Josh, what would you say Arteta needs to do?
Definitely needs to work on. He seems to have nailed the defending. Apart from yesterday, recent weeks we've looked very solid at the back. But we're known for playing like fluent football, and we haven't been playing that this season.
Yeah.
Would you say that Aubameyang's not as good, or not? Because I personally think he's been a bit quiet.
I feel like it's a mix of he's playing on the wing and we're not having as much success going forward. Yeah. So in games now, we're only getting like a couple of chances and they're falling to Lacazette and Aubameyang's not getting a sniff. Yeah. He's having to put crosses in for the likes of Lacazette. He's just not delivering.
From what I saw last night, I think Lacazette probably isn't a wide player. Aubameyang can play centrally and out wide, but Arteta wants to get them both in the team, so he has to put Aubameyang out wide. But for me, Aubameyang's got to be the main man. He's got to be playing central. And if that means dropping Lacazette, then you've got to do it.
Is Lacazette actually good enough, Josh?
See, we paid £50 million for him. This is a few seasons ago, and as of yet, he still hasn't really lived up to it. He's had a few goals here and there, a few decent seasons, average of about 10 goals a season, but for a £50 million striker, is that good enough? I don't think so.
Probably not. Harv, going back to Villa, what do you think of Douglas Luiz at the moment?
Douglas Luiz is one of them that I think he sort of goes under the radar a little bit because he's a difficult player. Unless you watch him consistently, he hides a lot in games because he doesn't apart from the wonder goals we know he can score, he doesn't get involved in sort of the goals as much. But he just does his job really well. He's really good on the ball. Passing of the ball, he's probably the best we've got at the club at sort of picking out the wide players. As you saw last night for the Watkins goal, he picked out Barkley just brilliant over the back line. So I think he just brings that to the team, which
I've got a question for you.
Player can do.
I saw Alan Shearer's team of the week today, this weekend, and he's put Douglas Luiz in it. What do you think that was?
I think he probably does rate him. He probably watches him closely and just understands a good player when he sees one. Because obviously Luiz only 22 years of age, and he's now sort of cemented his squad in the Brazil squad, so he's got to have something about him. I just think, really solid player.
I thought that was a bit strange because I thought out of your team, if I had to be critical, I think he was one of the worst players yesterday. I feel maybe along with Target and McGinn was a bit sloppy first half, then he picked it up. But yeah, I don't think Luiz was that special yesterday. I feel Barkley was the main threat. I don't think Barkley made it.
No,
that's interesting because I definitely would have put Barkley in. But then again, I guess it does depend on the other games because I know probably Eze might have been in there.
No, Eze. I think
no Eze.
Armstrong was in there.
Armstrong, fair enough. I think there was quite
a lot
of good.
I was going to say we did the West Brom predictions and the Arsenal predictions. So, Dan, what was your prediction?
My Albion one was, of course, 2-1 Albion. Didn't happen. And I went for an Arsenal win, didn't I? 2-1.
Yeah, I went for 2-0 Tottenham. So wasn't far off.
You were close, that one. I'll give you that.
And 3-1 Arsenal.
Half?
I believe, I won't quote myself on it, but I believe I went 3-1 Tottenham, and then I went 2-1 Aston Villa. So I got both results right, just not the scoreline.
Would you say part of the win at Arsenal was thanks to Grealish, or was it mainly because of Watkins?
For me, it was a team effort, really, and I think that's sort of the story of the season. Obviously, last year we'd go to teams like we went to the Burnley game, we went to Brighton, and it tended just to be the Jack Grealish show, and we'd win because of Jack Grealish. But I think, as shows with yesterday and a lot of other games this season where we've picked up 3 points, it's obviously Grealish is still probably one of the main threats, but all the others are chipping in. Like you said, Watkins, Barkley. And I wouldn't say it's down to Watkins. I'd say it's probably down to 5 or 6 players, but obviously Watkins was there just to finish off their hard work. So I think, it's a bit of a team effort, really.
I think I'm just going to touch on the fact that I feel like Villa's defence has looked a lot better under when Martinez is playing behind them. Do you think that's?
Yeah.
You think, we've got someone stronger behind us.
They have more
So
confidence.
if it does go wrong, then they know they've got good backup.
And I think they're more confident playing back to him as well because he's so good with his feet and distribution. It just means when the ball gets there, if we're under pressure, like yesterday, Aubameyang sometimes pressing on the back four, they can just send it back to Martinez and they trust him. Whereas we used to probably either put it out for a throw or knock it long or whatever. Just means we keep possession.
Anyway, before we carry on, we've got a caller.
Someone calling in.
Daniel Court is a Villa fan.
Yep. We've got an Aston Villa fan, Dan. He's going to come on and show his views on the game and maybe share
Courtesy, what would you say happened yesterday and what were your opinions?
To be honest, I wasn't really expecting a performance like that. I think we really, we hit them where it hurt with Arsenal. I think everyone played their role really well. I think Watkins especially. I think the way he was so quiet throughout the game, and then just all of a sudden he can just turn it on, score.
Yeah, 2 and 3 minutes. Yeah, I agree.
We were talking about the importance of Douglas Luiz. Do you agree he's an important part to the Villa team?
I agree that he's as influential as any player we've got in the team. I just feel like last night he was a bit off it in the first half. I feel like he was back at challenges. He was back at challenges. He just really looked. He didn't look himself, and I think he kind of switched it on in the second half. He switched himself on a bit, played a lot better. But Arsenal didn't really play it, in the midfield as much. They were kind of playing it out wide. So when he did get the ball, it was a quick pass off to Grealish or Barkley, and they were doing their thing down the left-hand side like they normally do with Matt Target as well.
Yeah. With Watkins, do you think if his confidence keeps him rising and he keeps scoring the goals, is there a chance he could get an England squad?
Well, with the current level of strikers, you've got Calvert-Lewin in form, you've got Kane in form, Ings is in form. Tammy Abraham's dropping off a bit. He's not playing as much as he'd like to at Chelsea. I don't think there's a reason why he can't get in the England squad. Watkins' record this season is he's scored 6 goals in 7 games. He's got 2 games in the cup, albeit they were against teams in lower leagues. But goals are goals at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how they go in as long as he scores them, and he's got a good return. So I don't see a reason why he can't get in the England squad. Yeah.
Harvard, Josh, any questions for Courty?
Yeah, Dan, I just wondering, sort of, based on what you've seen so far this season, where do you think the potential is for this squad to go? Obviously, short term in terms of this season, and then next few years, if we make the right moves, where do you think this set of players can go?
Obviously, this season, based on the form, I think top 10 really now looks like is what we want at the moment. Next season, it all depends. I think mainly on the recruitment in January, whether he can get them, bedded in. If he needs to bed them in, that is, if he can bed them in right, get them into the team, get them playing well, get them on form. I don't see why there isn't a reason we can't get top 10 as well with the recruitment next summer and next January, next season.
Yeah.
On top 10 again.
Well, question for you.
Top 10 should be the aim. I think we could potentially get Europe next season if we make the right recruitment.
Yeah.
That's
Josh has got a question for you.
Bit off topic, but who do you think will be top 4 in order and relegation free in order?
Top 4. The top 4 is quite hard to decide.
Yeah, for me, I can't even put my finger on.
I feel like no one's playing well this season. I think
Everyone's inconsistent.
everyone, exactly.
The most consistent has probably been Leicester.
I honestly can't say that I think Liverpool will win the league.
And there's a lot of dark horses as well, punching above the weight. Really.
I thought Fulham were dead and buried, and they're not even in the relegation zone at the minute.
Yeah, they're playing some good football as well, so it's hard to predict.
Yeah. Karen Cotton?
I think the inconsistency is, a kind of a chance for teams like the Leicesters, the Evertons to kind of push up. And if Leicester, I think it's as good as Leicester and Everton, if they can stay consistent, I think they could seriously go for the title. I think Leicester, they've got the best, second best English finisher in the world. I think, Maddison pulling the strings, they're strong defensively, they've got depth. In the defence, I think Fofana has shown that he can come and he can do a job. So I don't think there's any reason. And Everton as well, they've got the depth now. They've got Godfrey, they've got Keane, they've got Mina. Their front 3 is on fire, really. James Rodriguez has been such a talisman. He's a great signing. I think Calvert-Lewin's been amazing this season. I think Calvert-Lewin at this current moment in time is, could be taking Kane's place in the England team. And I think that Richarlison as well, when he's disciplined enough, I think he's I think Richarlison is, one of the top players in the league.
Yeah.
I think that Leicester, Everton, they could be going for the league this season. The recruitment they both made is phenomenal. I think Liverpool will be there as always, and Tottenham as well. Maybe if they can switch it on, they've got a good leader. Jose's got a great winning mentality. They've got the best English finisher. Son's on fire. Kane's on fire. They're all hitting it. They had a good win the other day against Baggers, and although they didn't play well, they won. And that's a sign of a true team.
That's a top team mentality, isn't it?
Yeah. So then, Dan, basically.
Anyway,
so
last
Dan,
question for you, Paul.
Yes. So Dan, taking all that, then, what would you say if you had to put 4 teams to get top 4? Obviously, it's a long season ahead, but what would you say so far from what you've seen? You just narrow it down to 4 teams.
You know, to narrow it down to 4 teams.
From what I've watched, Everton, Liverpool, and I think Spurs could be up there.
Yeah,
Everton.
It's bold.
I think with Everton is if you look, Richarlison's been out. That's one player, and they've got no depth in the squad. Iwobi's come in. I don't know how we got 40 million for him. Bloody steal that was. And then Klaus come in. Bernard, he's all right. Is he that good though? I don't think he's good enough to be a top 4 side, even if he's a squad player. Old shout.
Last thing for you, Courtney. Do you think Dino is the man to take Villa forward?
If you'd have asked me this a year ago, I would have said definitely not. I don't think he's the right. I think from what we've seen this season, I think that at the moment, I think he is the right man. I think he is. He knows the club. He loves the club. He's a Villa fan himself. He's Villa through and through. But I think that there are. I'm not saying that there are better managers out there that have, experience in these European competitions. That knows how to rotate their squad. And I feel that Dino is going to struggle with getting rid of players because he's formed an attachment to it. He's got an attachment to the club, and I don't know if he can really. He can't lose that attachment.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's wrong to get rid of him when he hasn't done anything wrong. Because I'm not taking anything away from him. He's done a fantastic job. He got us promoted when we looked more like we were getting relegated from the Championship. He kept us from relegation last season, which I thought, looked impossible. When the confidence was right down in the dumps, and we were saying, like, I've seen better football matches at Agborough than I did at Villa Park last season. And,
I'm with you there, Courtney. For me, Dean Smith, you look at it, and although there's been the ups and downs, first time of asking, he got us promoted, which was against the odds. He's kept us up first season, although it was shaky. We had to bring in 14 players over the summer. I don't think anyone really looking back at it now, it was unfair to sort of judge him on that because he had a whole new squad he had to embed in, and he's managed to keep us up. Obviously, this season, the proof in the pudding really was signings we made.
Just to bring those players in, we had to bring those players in. We released
that's it.
12, 13 players that season. We had to bring in the replacements.
That's it. We only had 8 players, senior players, I think, going into the season. He's had to sign 14. Obviously, we've spent money and they are quality players, but no team's going to gel overnight. So I think it was unfair, really, when fans were judging him last year. But as you know, football's a result-based game, so we were doing poorly and they wanted him out. We stuck with him, and obviously you can see where we are now. But I genuinely couldn't see a Villa without him, really. Obviously, he's not going to be our manager forever. That's impossible. But if you ask me 5-10 years down in the future, I genuinely can't picture it. And obviously things can change, but I just can't really picture Aston Villa without Dean Smith at the minute.
Anyway, thank you for calling, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you. Some very good points from you.
Now, I think that's all of this week, isn't it, lads? Make sure you tune into next podcast on the weekend where we're doing the
international break coming up. So obviously it'll be a bit of a switch from the Midlands sort of stuff, but it's going to be an international break. We'll keep up with England. That's it.
Ollie Watkins maybe in the England squad next time. The not from a striker. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you put down in the comments if you want to be in the next podcast. You never know, you could be on. Cheers.
Brilliant.